New month, new mindset, new focus, new start, new intentions, and new results. Yes, that's right. You may have a fresh start any moment you choose, but this thing that we call failure is not the falling down, but the staying down. Words of wisdom from Mary Pickford. Hi there, everyone. I'm Adrian Atkinson, your driver for the next half hour, steering you through this Sunday's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Thank you so much for joining us. The show continues right after this. Don't shift those gears. We'll be right back.
To deal with crime and violence, we must be united. Please cooperate with the security forces. Call 311-119 or the JDF tip line. If you know something and you not talk, you're a part of the problem.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
On Get the Facts this week, we take a look on activities to mark National Customer Service Week, which runs from October 2 to 8.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Theodore Henry. Delivering an efficient and excellent customer service has been a key priority of the government. To this end, several measures have taken place to ensure improvement in this area. And today's program will share some of those measures and tell you about activities to mark National Customer Service Week. My guest is Senior Director of the Public Sector Modernization Division in the Office of the Cabinet, Daniel Jones-Cox. Welcome to the program, Mrs. Jones-Cox.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's get some facts now.
Right.
Remind us how important good customer service is to public sector modernization, because it doesn't sound like it's just about the service.
No, it's in fact far more than that. One of the things that we say in the Public Sector Modernization Division is that the entire raison d'etre, the reason that the public sector exists, is to serve the public.
Right.
The services that the public sector offers cannot be had anywhere else. And
Right.
so the public, foreign investors really don't have a choice. They must interface with us. And so it's incumbent on us to provide the best services that we can.
All right, so people should like interacting with government services.
Yes, although we've gotten mixed reviews about government service, and certainly that is why we decided to implement a service excellence policy. So that is our framework that guides all of us as public sector workers and public sector entities on how best to deliver services to our customers.
Ah, understood. So tell me a little bit about the Public Sector Modernization Division and the association. How do I understand both of those things, and how do they work together?
So the Public Sector Modernization Division is a department or a division within the Office of the Cabinet, and our primary focus is on supporting our government partners to actually modernize their service delivery offerings.
Right.
So we work to serve our public sector partners. We don't necessarily serve the public directly, but we support our public sector partners. And the Jamaica Customer Service Association is our quote-unquote private sector partner as it relates to service excellence and customer service. And this year is our second year partnering to deliver National Customer Service Week.
Ah, okay. So how do the two things come together? You know, like you have equal, I'm trying to pull it out here. Is there like a policy that guides both of them? So you both agree on what the vision is going forward for customer service in Jamaica?
Absolutely, and it's not just us, because the Jamaica Customer Service Association has many members, a lot of private sector members, and so we work on the public sector side to bring the public sector together, and JAXA works to bring the private sector together. And what we have is a memorandum of understanding. So it pretty much talks about how we intend to work together to shape the customer service or the service excellence atmosphere nationally. So on the public sector side and the private sector side through JAXA.
All right, so everybody is getting good customer service.
That's right.
All right, so I want to hear about some of the steps and the measures that have been taken thus far? You know, ministries, departments, agencies.
Right.
Could you share some of those?
Absolutely. So we started in 2019, the Public Sector Modernization Division received approval from Cabinet for the Service Excellence Framework. And that framework provided almost kind of like what we call the blueprint for how service improvement was going to happen from entity to entity. One of the key things that we have done as a Public Sector Modernization Division is to share with our public sector partners, this is how we're going to standardize service delivery. So it shouldn't be that I go to a PICA, for example, and receive a particular type of service that I'm satisfied with, but then I go to another entity and I don't have a similar service.
Disconnect.
That's exactly right. So that's one of the things that we are working on to fix. And so what the service excellence policy has done is really kind of just outlined all of those areas. One of the key things that ministries, departments, and agencies are doing now, Theodore, is service improvement planning. So every single solitary ministry, along with their departments and agencies, has a plan for service improvement. We did the survey, we identified where the gaps in service delivery are from entity to entity, and this plan has now designed those mechanisms to plug those gaps. And that's one of the core things that we're focused on right now.
So overall policy,
right,
and then agency, ministry by ministry.
That's correct. That's correct.
All right. We're going to take a short break here. The conversation with Mrs. Jones-Cox continues on the other side of this break. You don't want to miss this, so stay with us. Welcome back to Get the Facts. We are continuing our conversation with Senior Director of the Public Sector Modernization Division in the Office of the Cabinet, Daniel Jones-Cox. We're talking about customer service, and this week, October 2 to 8, is being observed as National Customer Service Week.
Yes.
All right. So I am looking at the schedule here, and it seems like a lot of activities.
It is.
I want you to walk us through them.
Okay, so this is our equivalent of Christmas, Theodore. So everybody gets excited in December because it's Christmas. This is what makes us excited as a service excellence team within the Public Sector Modernization Division. It is Customer Service Week. So this year, much like we did last year and in previous years, we have partnered with the Jamaica Customer Service Association to deliver National Customer Service Week. So starting today, Theodore, we are going to have the church service, and that will be at the Webster Memorial United Church. They are our longtime partner as well for National Customer Service Week, and we always celebrate with them. Following that, we have October 3rd, where JAXA will announce the winner of their National Customer Service Week song competition, as well as their Service Excellence video competition. And then October 4th and 5th, that's where things get really exciting with our Service Excellence Conference.
Is this a training moment or a presentation moment?
So it's mostly presentation. It's a series of workshops. So on the 4th, we open with the Honorable Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism, and we have a great lineup for the 4th with a whole host of other persons. Like we're going to have Adam Stewart, we're going to have Dr. Wendell Abel, and then on day 2 is the Public Sector Day, and on that day we have the Public Sector Modernization Division panel, and we call that that little segment is called Reigniting a Culture of Care, and actually meeting people where they are. So one of the things that we said we have to focus on is people engagement, putting that human touch back into things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I also see that there's a corporate mingle. So we're going to train the people and then send them out to actually do the work.
Yes, we are. So the corporate mingle is for both private and public sector, and that happens right after the conference. And it's just a way for us to interact with each other, talk to each other, and to even continue the conversation coming out of the conference around best practice regarding service delivery.
All right. Thursday, October 6th, starting at 7:30 a.m. school tour. Where are we going?
So we are going going to the York Castle High School. This is where everything culminates for the school tour this year. And also this is where JAXA is doing their customer service week activity of giving back, and they're going to be giving York Castle High a special reward for its involvement in customer service week as well. And on the 7th, which closes out the week, we have our mobile services fair.
Right.
And the mobile services fair, we are going to the people of Clarendon. And so one of the things that we're doing as a public sector is trying to reach those groups that are usually underserved, vulnerable and hard to reach. And so we have a whole host of government entities leaving Kingston, going to, I believe it is the St. Gabriel's Anglican Church in Maypen, in Clarendon. So we encourage people to come out. We're going to have PICA there. TAJ is going to be there. Heart Trust is going to be there. NHF, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance. So you can come and get your blood pressure checks, a whole host of things. And we have RGD as well.
Right.
So you can come and get your birth certificates. I mean, everybody is going to be at St. Gabriel's on Friday of this week, providing services to the people of Clarendon.
All right. It sounds like a full week, and sounds like a good week.
Indeed.
You know, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of these events and even the tours as they happen.
Wonderful.
Now, right here at the end, I want you to take some time as the Senior Director of the Public Sector Modernization Division and speak to many of the stakeholders who are watching us today.
Right. So thank you so much, Theodore. I think one of the most pivotal things that we want to leave, certainly not only our public sector counterparts, but more importantly, the members of the public, is that we do understand the frustrations. Service excellence, we've been talking about customer service for a while, and we're not tone deaf as a public sector. We are working to improve the delivery of services to all of you. We are working with the ministries, their departments and agencies to ensure that the public starts to feel that improvement in service delivery. I also just encourage you to keep up with us on our social media handles so you know about our modernization efforts. We are PSMD-JA on Instagram and Twitter. We are Cabinet Office PSMD on YouTube, and we are Public Sector Modernization Division on Facebook.
All right. And just want to underscore that last thing that we were discussing, October 2 to 8 is observed as National Customer Service Week. It's about you, it's for you, and it involves you. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest has been Senior Director of the Public Sector Modernization Division in the Office of the Cabinet, Daniel Jones Cox. Thank you for watching. And until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.
Mr. President, several countries in Latin America and the Caribbean are facing an epidemic of crime and violence. Since the pandemic and the disruption in education, challenges with mental health are being increasingly expressed in violent ways. The propensity to resolve conflict or cope with social and mental stresses through violence requires a public health response. And Jamaica has not only engaged in global initiatives such as the Partnership to End Violence Against Children, but we have recently empaneled a National Commission on the Prevention of Violence to advise the government on building out an articulated public health and social service response. However, the situation is exponentially complicated and exacerbated by the influx of illegal and unregistered small arms into our country. From organized transnational criminal enterprises to street-level gangs to the misguided youth in the inner city, the availability of guns is driving an ever-increasing homicide rate. In the same way that a war on drugs is being prosecuted, in which we have been faithful partners in policing what comes through our waters or leaves our shores, there now must be a war on guns. Jamaica does not manufacture guns, but our population suffers from the effects of widely available guns. The countries that manufacture weapons that are available to the public must implement stronger measures to ensure that those weapons do not end up on the streets and in the hands of people for whom they were not intended. In the same way that there is a concern about illegal drugs on the streets of the rich countries, there must be concern about guns on the streets of developing countries like Jamaica.
We have stepped up our road spot check operations across the country to ensure that only effective motor vehicles are on the roadway and defective vehicles are not allowed to traverse the network willy-nilly. I'd like to use this opportunity to appeal to all motorists. I have noticed some trends out there where there is different type of license plates on motor vehicles. Only the Jamaican issued driver's license plates are to be on the motor vehicles. I'm appealing to motorists out there. I'm appealing to them. We have removed many plates because of fandangles that are on the motor vehicle. Colorful lights, red light, purple light, blue light. I love purple and white, but the purple is not no purple light must on the vehicle. Blue light, yellow light, orange light, and these multicolored lights. Get them off. Your headlight must be white. That's the law. You don't want us to take them off during the road spot check operation because it will mean that you could be issued a E1 certificate, a certificate of defects, and you'll have to take funds out of your pocket to get back your plates. The tinting of your windscreen, cut it out because it affects visibility and it has a potential risk factor for traffic crashes. Public passenger vehicles, according to the Transport Authority Act, not supposed to have tints. Driving on the roadway is a very serious matter, and I would like to appeal to persons whom we have issued driver's license to. Remember that we don't want you to violate, because if you violate, you will get certain prizes that you don't want. So you'll get a prize if you accumulate a certain amount of points. You get a prize, your driver's license suspended for 6 months. If you don't listen, you don't hear, you could open up yourself for another prize. And that prize would be a license could be suspended for a year. If you don't like that prize, you could work harder again and get a bigger prize. And that prize, your license could be suspended for 2 years. We would like to appeal to persons who transport. Once you transport any passenger in a motor vehicle, ensure that they are buckled, whether they are on the front or they are on the back. The seatbelt gives people a fighting chance to survive the crash. Many people have died who never give themselves a fighting chance.
Looking at the data, we recognize certain points of interest that we, the road safety, would be looking at in seeing how we can actively engage our citizens and how we can reduce the number of injuries and fatalities that are occurring on our roads. So one of them is actually speeding. Now, most motorists and bikers who currently represent 35% and 18% of road fatalities, we're appealing to them to reduce and think about themselves and others who are using the roadway. Another road user group that we are actually targeting is pedestrians. and they represent 20% of our fatalities. And we want to appeal to them to be vigilant, to really utilize the road carefully, be alert, don't cross from corners, walk facing the traffic so you can see what we're doing, wear light color clothing at night and reflective clothing at night so you can be seen.
Obedience is always better than sacrifice. That's the word from Elohim.
You know how they say accidents do happen, unexpectedly and often unintentionally. Though road safety experts no longer define these unfortunate incidents involving motor vehicles as accidents, they're certainly never intended. Unfavorable weather conditions, objects on the road, your miscalculation while driving, or another driver can cause crashes, even for the best defensive drivers. That's exactly why it's important to know how to respond in these situations. So, what do you do at that exact moment? What should be your next steps? And when and how should you file a police report?
For the number of reports that come to this station, perhaps it's on a basis of about 10 to 15 per day. That's the number of accidents per day. So after a road traffic accident, person should first try to clear the roadway if they are obstructing the traffic for other motorists. Secondly, drivers are expected to exchange vehicle documents, and the document should include their registration certificate, certificate of fitness, insurance certificate, and your driver's license information. Those are the essential 4 pieces of information that should be provided to both parties after an accident. Contact information is optional, but you have cases where a person tries to settle outside insurance, and that's now a civil matter. It's an agreement between both parties. So if they want to exchange contact information, that's also optional, depending on the intention that they have in terms of fixing the vehicle outside insurance or what.
Your next step? Making a police report about the collision. This is always a good idea. That way you have proof of exactly what happened and the scope of any injuries.
In terms of our approach as police officers for a motor vehicle accident, first the critical thing is to check for injuries, make sure that persons are okay. If there's a need for persons to be assisted to the hospital for any sort of treatment, we should make sure we render assistance to persons in need of that care first. Secondly, we check for the damage for the vehicles, make sure there is no obstruction along the roadway, and then we can treat with the document or the exchange of particulars between both parties. After making a report of a motor vehicle accident, the next step that persons are advised to do is to make a report to their insurance company, and that's for another motorist. As it relates to a pedestrian or persons who are injured, they are also advised to get the assistance of an attorney to file a personal injury claim against the party that is liable in the accident. For follow-up visits, what we do, we have cases where persons are seriously injured, some of which are not able to make it to the station to give a report in the first instance. So what we try to do, whether the persons are hospitalized, we ensure that visits are made and that the person's conditions are updated as we go along. As we through the investigation, we ensure that the person's conditions are updated along the procedure.
But are you always required to report traffic collisions?
Not in all cases a report must be filed for accidents. We have situations where it could be a very minor mishap. For example, someone could be reversing from their garage, they could bump their gate. So in those cases, it's not necessary for them to make a report. But for other situations involving another motorist, or a case where a pedestrian or a property is damaged, a report is expected to be made, because persons at times are expected to make claims, whether from their insurance company or their attorneys, based on the damage received or the injuries they've sustained.
Reports from the Road Safety Unit shows that up to April 26, 139 lives have been cut short because of road crashes this year, with over 100 of those being males. And for the corresponding period last year, 136 lives were lost in road crashes. On a more global level, studies from the World Health Organization (WHO) show that approximately 1.35 million people die each year as a result of road traffic crashes, and 3% of most countries' gross domestic product is spent on road traffic crashes.
The most common cause of motor vehicle accidents, from my understanding, it's mostly impatience on the part of some of the drivers and lack of knowledge as to how the roadways should be used. And I also believe the implementation of traffic signs at various areas would also aid the process, because most drivers are not aware of what to do at various parts of the roadway.
In the face of such figures, even the most careful driver can suddenly encounter a bit of bad fortune on the road. You know that saying, decisions can be like car accidents, sudden and full of consequences. So how about making the right decision to be responsible road users today?
The travel pad application was created by the Transport Authority for the protection of the commuting public. Please download the travel pad application on the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. Once you download the application, put in your phone number, register the application under your phone number, and then you'll be able to verify the license plate that you're going in. Once you verify the license plate and the information of the vehicle, you will then be able to share that trip of the vehicle that you're in. And if there is difficulty on the trip, you would then will be able to push a panic button and share your location with others as well. Download the application, give us our feedback at customerservice@ta.org.jm. Don't forget, it's free to download, free to use.
Well, that's all the time we have left here today on this show. Do join us again tomorrow on this same station for another exciting installment of Jamaica Magazine. To rewatch today's offering or other content like this, just visit our website, gis.gov.jm. From all of us here at the GIS, have yourself a wonderful Sunday. I'm Adrian Atkinson. See you next time.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.